Hi you guys, my name is Cherita. Welcome to my channel. So a couple days ago I did a video about the company FBE, and honestly everything that's been going on hasn't been sitting right with me, and so I wanted to revisit that conversation. If you guys are not familiar with FBE, they are the Fine Brothers Entertainment, and they have a number of YouTube channels, they have React channels, they have Try Not To Challenge channels, etc. I did a whole video explaining that. Make sure you guys check out that video so that you're not too confused about what's going on in this video. Now, before I get started in today's video, make sure you click subscribe for new content whenever I post, and also do not forget to click the notification bell so that you are notified every single time that I post a video. So let's get started. So in my last video, I talked about how there was a Twitter account that I found who was keeping me up with all this information. Now, the Twitter account, her name is Cynthia G, and I followed her and I've been watching her Twitter account, and she's been giving a lot of information about what's going on with FBE. And again, I am so surprised that nobody else is talking about what's happening with this company, at least on YouTube. I'm like, my mind is blown, but whatever, that's besides the point. I'm gonna use my platform. I'm gonna talk about it because I think it's important. So in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about a live stream that the executives of FBE did, and some of the questions or the concerns that they answered, and how I feel that it's still not enough for what they are trying to do. But even before that, I want to say that I find it funny how all of this drama went down with all these reactors leaving, and FBE, they haven't mentioned it on their platform, and well, at least their YouTube platform. They also have not mentioned it on Facebook. The only thing that they did is they posted the CEO, their statement, they posted it on the community page of their YouTube, and that was it. Nothing, like, so people are probably thoroughly confused because, again, nobody else is talking about it, and they're not talking about it on their bigger platforms. They're only talking about it on Twitter because not a lot of people are on Twitter. They're not talking about it where they have a lot of fans. So that in itself is problematic. You need to tell everybody who supports you what's going on, so then they can make a decision whether they choose to still support you or not. So like I said, there was a live stream, a Zoom meeting, whatever, and it had all the executives, none of which are black, who are trying to correct the issues that they have when it comes to their higher ups and their executives and things like that. So this is a statement on why Kennedy was ignored for so long by FBE. Donna said, "The Kennedy statement was brought to our attention. Obviously, it took time to process what her statement said and also do the investigation of what happened, because I remember her sending the email a week prior. The casting, the production coordinators flagged that to the head of production, who flagged that to our leadership team. So we all talked about it. That's why we were confused. Our HR person gave all the resources to production, and because being in quarantine and too many people checking the same inbox, apparently nobody responded. I don't know exactly who was supposed to do it, but of the 3 people who have been typically responding to talent, somebody dropped the ball." So basically what they're saying is nobody wanted to tackle the issue. It was flagged here, and then it was flagged here, and then it was flagged there. There were 3 people who could have talked about it, but the ball was dropped. I'm confused on why it was flagged to begin with. I'm confused as to why this didn't go to HR immediately. I'm confused on why this was not directly... I'm just confused on why Kennedy was just ignored. I understand what they're saying, but this is not an excuse. This is not a reason. This is not good enough. Kennedy should have been protected from that first email. And then the second email, it was like, oh crap, now what do we do? Now we're scrambling. So yeah, the problem, too many people checking the same inbox. Too many people flagging it. Oh, I don't want to deal with it, flag it. No, I don't want to deal with it either, flag it. This is part of your job. Your job is to protect your creators, your reactors. So FBE laid off the casting person early in the pandemic, told them they were not essential to the company. What's the worst that could happen? Donna again said, when we went into quarantine, our casting person, who was typically the point of contact, was no longer part of the company. But because we lost that person, it became a triage situation of various production coordinators taking over that role, compounded by the fact that we are now in quarantine and figuring out how to work remotely. This is a backstory of why all this happened. So again, that person should have been replaced, period. We're not splitting up that job because then things like this happen. Who's supposed to do what? Who's supposed to do where? It sounds like the confusion is starting at the top. It's starting at the top from people who probably are not qualified enough to run these positions, or they don't care enough. So that's where the issue lies. On how FBE protects the cast. Derek, the unfortunate part is that we do have a process. We do quite a few things to protect the cast. We have a process for helping if they want to file a police report, and then also counseling for trauma. All these things were in place. We just had people that didn't go, yeah, here, it's all in one place. It's bizarre that Kennedy's been with us for almost 10 years being on the show, didn't have the resources because we actually have them. We were just fragmented. Donna, unfortunately, some people will face negativity on the internet because the internet is the internet. Then she summarizes the 9 pages of FBE's handbook on how the talent can protect themselves. FBE just makes sure no one says anything too mean about the talent on FBE videos. What I find funny about this is there was another reactor by the name of Michelle, and Michelle laid out, she put a series of emails, and if I can find them, I'll post them here, about how she was talking about how she was being stalked, and she would email these people, but nobody told her this is where it is. Like Derek said, yeah, here it is, all in one place. Michelle was not granted that, and basically they told her to deal with it on her own. Kennedy also talked about how she would get hate comments. And not just her, but she was telling her story. She got a hate comment and all she said was that wasn't necessary. FBE emailed her and said, delete that comment. So she can't even stick up for herself. So if FBE is not gonna stick up for her, who will? How come they don't have a person, and I know they get tens of thousands of comments, but why don't they have somebody who's actively deleting these comments? Or how come they don't have words that are not allowed on their, like in their comment section? Why does the talent feel the need to have to defend themselves? They shouldn't have to do that. They should be able to post their video and go. And I get it. Yes, the internet is the internet. But for you to actively tell somebody that they can't stick up for themselves when nobody else is doing it for them, that's a problem. That's an issue. Hire somebody to just go through comments. Why can't that be a job? If you're not going to allow the talent to say something as simple as that's not necessary, why is that an issue? All to protect who? FBE. You guys don't care about your talent, and it's showing. On the fines blackface past. Derek, there was an apology in the works to do right by it, not just privately. It was never intended to be something swept under the rug. At the time, it wasn't FBE. We know Benny and Rafi, and they expressed great remorse. It becomes that weird thing. How do you address it appropriately? It was so hard to do because it wasn't our thing to apologize for. How is there an apology in the works? The minute that it was brought forth, there shouldn't have been anything in the works. It should have just been an apology, period. I understand that you guys are not Benny and Rafi. However, this is their name. You guys represent Benny and Rafi. And I understand that the black creators didn't know that Benny and Rafi had done blackface, but that should have been addressed long ago. Long ago. Why are we apologizing for something 10 years later that they've never apologized for before, ever, as far as I know? Why is it now that they want to apologize for doing blackface? Why didn't they address it when all these other people were getting called out for blackface? How come they didn't address it then? How come they didn't apologize then? And it should be an ongoing thing. This shouldn't be the first that the black creators are hearing about this. It shouldn't be hidden to the point where they had no idea that this was even a thing. But here we are. On the treatment of former FBE employees. Donna, I can't speak to that either because I wasn't here for any of that. Later on in the video, Derek says, yes, I have seen the Twitter conversations and they're distressing. I don't know a lot of those people personally. Some of the people I knew a month or two when I first started. I can speak to my own experience that we have drastically changed the way the company is structured and the way we behave. I have a vague understanding of some of the things they're referencing to, and you kind of go, wow, it's so different, dramatically different. More balanced leadership, more experienced leadership. When I started at the company, I remember I was one of the only people who have worked at other places like that. And now you have people like Donna and Kate who have tons of experience, so that type of crap just doesn't fly. That stuff gets put down pretty quickly. I think we definitely try more than before. I think there was a white boys club before. Donna. And trust me when I say, since I started, that white boys club has definitely gone away. It is run by women. Derek. That behavior, that eye-rolling mentality is what you see people saying online right now. That's just not the case. We have a team. There is more women than there is men. Steven. I think there's a lot of more transparency and structure to the company now where it doesn't allow for that type of toxicity because that gets noticed and now is addressed. I find this funny because Donna created herself a little Twitter account and was messaging, DMing people such as Cynthia and another talent by the name of Kaylin, and she was actively asking to be specific. She took a picture of Cynthia's Instagram, and it was a picture of her on her last day of FBE, and was like, she had a smile on her face and, you know, did her whole little, I made so many friends, I'll never forget this experience, blah, blah, blah. Donna took it upon herself to take that picture, send it to Cynthia and say, well, I just don't understand why you're bashing them now. You look so happy in this picture. It looked like you had a great experience. And then she sent another message to Kaylin. Hey, just want to let you know I'm free to talk on Monday, so let me know your schedule so we can talk about your experience. You guys, this lady is crazy. Are you kidding me? And I get it. She probably does want to know the experiences of other people, but for her to be passive aggressive and say, well, you looked happy in this picture, how come you claim that you had a bad experience there? Probably because she did. And then for her to go to Kaylin and say, oh, I'm free to talk whenever you are, so just let me know because my schedule's open and I know you want to talk to me, even though I've tried to message Kennedy and she doesn't message me back, but I know you're gonna talk to me. Like, are you kidding me? How is that more experience? How is that better leadership? Like, that is so unprofessional. I don't understand. On Benny and Rafi not being active at FBE anymore. Derek. That is correct. They have stepped away from the company. That's a fluid situation. I don't think we're ready to talk about that yet. They love this company. They love you guys. They have some to work on. That allows us to do some work on the company. And we're trying to do some corrections. This sounds like Jimmy Kimmel when so I guess he's about to host the Emmys or something, and all of his past racism got brought up, his blackface, his using of the N-word, it all got exposed. He's now he took a 2-month vacation to clear his head, or I don't know, but basically they're running away from it. That's what they're doing. Oh, we're stepping away. And there's also another company, it's a planner company, Erin Condren. Erin herself has taken a step back because she did something problematic. All these owners and starters of these companies, they're taking a step back so that they don't get all the fire. That's what they're doing. Benny and Rafi have stepped away from the company. That way they don't get all the heat. Don't let them fool you. Do not let them fool you. Basically, they're telling other people, hey, you guys fix it because we don't know what to do. Yeah. On FBE's discriminatory thumbnail process, Donna. I did see some of those accusations. I can definitely speak to that. At FBE, there is an algorithm piece element to all of this. At any video launch, we have multiple thumbnails. It's all for various clickability, and really the primary goal is the thumbnail is the thing that makes you decide in a split second whether or not you're going to watch that video. There's an art and a science to it. A lot of it is based on data. That's a mighty funny way to say that we don't put black people in our thumbnails because people won't click on black people. If the people won't click on your thumbnails because they include black people, are those the people that you really want watching your videos? Oh, you don't care because it's all about the views. That's what's being said. How about make it normal to have black people in your thumbnails? Because I know there's people who will click regardless. Those are your fans. Your fans are going to click regardless. Yes, I understand it's the outside people that you want. But if the outside people aren't willing to click because there's more black people and people of color in your thumbnails, that's a them problem. That's something they're gonna have to deal with. Make it normal to put black people in thumbnails. I understand you want the clicks, I understand you want the views, but at what expense? Because I guarantee you there's probably not a lot of people who click and the minute they see a black person, they click out because the cast is usually diverse. And again, if they're clicking off because you have one or two black people in your videos, that's a them problem. And then the last one is on FBE's hiring quota. Donna. The number makes it look like a check mark, which is not the case. It's a much broader initiative that was in the works well before this happened. The percentage was purely a way to set a bar to see whether we are meeting it or not. We have already hired many. There are many hires in the works well before this that are women and people of color. We are walking the walk. I have a hard time believing that it was in the works before, because there's been people who have actively said that FBE does not hire black people. Yes, they hire black talent, meaning the reactors, but the people who are behind the scenes, how many of those people are black? How many people on leadership are black? How many producers are black? How many executives are black? That's what people are talking about when it comes to hiring black people, because again, representation matters. And yes, I understand people are represented on the camera, but they also need to be represented behind the scenes so that you get a different perspective. It's not just based off of white privileged people. Like, honestly, the more I talk about this and the more I look into it, the more angry I get, because no, it's not just an FBE issue. It's an issue everywhere. It's an issue worldwide, which is why I preach so much about systemic racism and systemic biases and things like that, because it's a true thing. It's very frustrating and it's sad, and I don't know. I understand that they have things, they're willing to change, but the thing is who on that staff is black, who's willing to help them with this change? Why is it just a bunch of, if you look at the thumbnail, not a single black person is in that conversation. So how do we get black people to that point? And I wouldn't be surprised if black people don't want to be part of that, because we're tired, we're exhausted. I don't know. But anyways, I think that's my video for today. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. Also, please go follow Cynthia on Twitter if you guys are interested in this conversation. And do not forget to link with, Do not forget to link up with me on my social media. All of that information will be down below in the description box. And until my next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye.